Imagine a world locked in endless conflict. By 1918, the Great War, World War I, had dragged on for 4 agonizing years. Trenches scarred the landscape from the English Channel to the Swiss border. Over 16 million lives had been lost. Empires teetered on collapse, and entire generations were scarred physically and mentally. Soldiers wrote home of the horrors: mud that swallowed men whole, gas that choked the air, and the constant thunder of shells. Yet, amid this devastation, signs of an end began to emerge. Exhaustion gripped both sides, resources dwindled, and new forces shifted the balance. This is the story of how the deadliest war in history up to that point finally drew to a close. Not in a blaze of glory, but in a hushed armistice deep in a French forest. We'll delve into the desperate final offensives, the heroic pushes, the diplomatic maneuvers, and the bittersweet peace that followed. From the entry of fresh American troops to the crumbling of ancient empires, join us as we uncover the final, fateful months that silenced the guns. To understand the end, we must look back to 1917, a year of profound upheaval. In Russia, the February Revolution toppled the Tsar, and by November, the Bolsheviks under Vladimir Lenin seized power. Facing civil war and famine at home, Lenin signed the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk in March 1918, pulling Russia out of the conflict. This freed up over 1 million German troops from the Eastern Front, allowing them to reinforce the West. German high command saw this as their last chance for victory. But countering this was the United States declaration of war in April 1917, triggered by unrestricted submarine warfare and the Zimmerman telegram. President Woodrow Wilson promised to make the world safe for democracy, and by 1918, over 2 million American doughboys had crossed the Atlantic, bringing not just manpower, but vital supplies and morale. These fresh, well-fed troops contrasted sharply with the war-weary Europeans. In early 1918, Germany, crippled by the Allied naval blockade that starved its population, causing widespread hunger and unrest, launched a desperate all-or-nothing campaign, the Spring Offensive, known as the Kaiserschlacht, or Kaiser's Battle. Directed by General Erich Ludendorff, it began on March 21st with Operation Michael. Using innovative stormtrooper tactics, infiltration by elite units armed with submachine guns and flamethrowers, German forces punched through British lines, advancing up to 40 miles in places. It was the deepest penetration since 1914. Soldiers like British Private Harold Saunders recalled the terror. The Germans came on in waves, unstoppable at first. By July, they had captured vast territories, but at a horrific cost. Nearly 1 million casualties on both sides. Supply lines stretched thin, and the arrival of American reinforcements blunted the attacks. The offensive ground to a halt near the Marne River, echoing the failure of 1914. German morale shattered, desertions soared. Ludendorff himself suffered a nervous breakdown, calling August 8th the Black Day of the German Army. This marked the beginning of the end for the Central Powers. With Germany reeling, the Allies, under the unified command of French Marshal Ferdinand Foch, launched their counteroffensive on August 8, 1918, the start of what became known as the 100 Days Offensive. This wasn't a single battle, but a series of coordinated strikes that methodically dismantled German defenses. At Amiens, British and Commonwealth forces, supported by over 500 tanks and 800 aircraft, achieved a stunning breakthrough. General Henry Rawlinson's Fourth Army advanced 8 miles in one day, capturing 16,000 prisoners. Australian and Canadian troops played pivotal roles, their shock tactics earning praise from Foch. The Australians are magnificent. This battle showcased modern warfare. combined arms of infantry, armor, and air power overwhelming static trenches. The offensive rolled on. The Second Battle of the Marne in July-August saw French and American forces repel the last German push, with U.S. Marines at Belleau Wood earning the nickname Devil Dogs from their foes. By September, the formidable Hindenburg Line, a network of fortified positions with concrete bunkers and machine gun nests, was breached at the Battle of the Canal du Nord and Saint-Quentin Canal. British engineered tanks bridged canals under fire, allowing infantry to pour through. In the American sector, the Meuse-Argonne offensive from September 26th involved 1.2 million U.S. troops under General John Pershing. It was bloody, over 26,000 American deaths in 6 weeks, but it drove the Germans back toward their borders. Sergeant Alvin York, a humble Tennessee farmer, became a legend by single-handedly capturing 132 Germans, earning the Medal of Honor. As the Allies advanced, the Central Powers crumbled. Bulgaria signed an armistice on September 29th, the Ottoman Empire on October 30th, and Austria-Hungary on November 3rd. Mutinies erupted in the German fleet at Kiel, spreading to cities like Berlin. Kaiser Wilhelm II abdicated on November 9th, fleeing to exile in the Netherlands. Revolution swept Germany, establishing a fragile republic. The war's end was now inevitable. As German lines collapsed, their delegation, led by civilian Matthias Erzberger, requested an armistice. Negotiations began on November 8th in Marshal Foch's railway carriage in the forest of Compiègne, chosen for its isolation to avoid leaks. The Allies demanded harsh terms: immediate evacuation of occupied territories in France, Belgium, and Alsace-Lorraine, surrender of 5,000 guns, 30,000 machine guns, and the entire fleet, and Allied occupation of the Rhineland as a buffer. No concessions were made. It was essentially a surrender. Erzberger pleaded for leniency to prevent Bolshevik-style revolution in Germany, but Foch was unmoved, reportedly saying, "I am not waging war for pleasure." At 5:10 a.m. on November 11th, the document was signed. Hostilities would cease at 11 a.m. The 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, a poetic choice for symbolism. In those final hours, some units fought on, causing needless deaths. Over 2,700 soldiers perished that morning. Then, silence fell. British soldier Richard Tobin described it. The gods seemed to be weeping. Then came the stillness. Church bells pealed across Europe and America. In Paris, crowds flooded the streets, kissing strangers. In London, people danced around bonfires. In New York, ticker tape rained down. But for many, joy was tempered by grief. Families mourned lost sons, and veterans like Eric Maria Remarque, author of All Quiet on the Western Front, reflected on the futility. We are so weary. The armistice halted the fighting, but true peace required negotiation. In January 1919, the Paris Peace Conference convened at Versailles, attended by over 30 nations but dominated by the Big Four: U.S. President Wilson, British Prime Minister David Lloyd George, French Premier Georges Clemenceau, and Italian Premier Vittorio Orlando. Wilson pushed his 14 points for a just peace, including self-determination and the League of Nations to prevent future wars. But Clemenceau, scarred by France's devastation, demanded harsh reparations. Germany must pay. The Treaty of Versailles, signed exactly 5 years after the Sarajevo assassination on June 28, 1919, imposed severe penalties on Germany. Loss of 13% of territory, including Alsace-Lorraine to France and colonies overseas. Army reduced to 100,000 men. No air force or submarines. And reparations totaling 132 billion gold marks, about $442 billion today, fueling hyperinflation and resentment. Separate treaties like Saint-Germain and Trianon dismantled Austria-Hungary, creating new states: Czechoslovakia, Yugoslavia, Poland. The Ottoman Empire was partitioned, leading to modern Turkey under Mustafa Kemal Ataturk. The League of Nations was born, but without U.S. membership, rejected by Congress, it lacked teeth. Many historians argue the peace was a victor's justice, planting seeds for fascism and World War II. As John Maynard Keynes warned in The Economic Consequences of the Peace, the treaty created a Carthaginian peace that would breed future conflict. The war's legacy: Spanish flu pandemic killing millions more, economic ruin, and a lost generation. The end of World War I brought an uneasy relief to a battered world. It dismantled empires, redrew maps, and promised a new era. Yet its flawed peace echoed into the 20th century, influencing everything from the rise of Hitler to the formation of the United Nations. We remember the human cost: ordinary people thrust into extraordinary horror, their stories preserved in letters, poems, and memorials. As we reflect on this war to end all wars, it serves as a stark reminder of the fragility of peace and the perils of unchecked nationalism. Lest we forget. If this documentary resonated with you, please like, subscribe for more historical deep dives, and share your thoughts in the comments. Do you think a different treaty could have prevented World War II? Thank you for watching.